Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna do better this time, I promise. Like, and it's not just gonna be comedic timing. I'm not gonna click this and get Jacob and Esau go to Hush. Look, all right, if we've done it before, we can do it again. That's not as good of comedic timing as I was hoping for, but that's okay. So it's Apollyon, Hush Delirium. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mommy's gonna push out a great big turd. I'm sorry, there was no... It just came out and I was trying to be funny, and then... Now you gotta explain, you're watching this, I get these tweets. NL, I love watching your videos with my 2-year-old. Now you gotta explain to your 2-year-old what a turd is, and it's, I mean, you know what it is, because you've changed, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 diapers maybe by this point, but they don't know what it is, and that's... I apologize for having stolen that revelation, that epiphany from them of finding out what it... I remember where I was in junior kindergarten. People, yeah, I obviously don't actually remember where I was. And I don't mind telling, you know, embarrassing stories, especially from when I was a child, but one of my earliest memories, thankfully not the very earliest, but one of my earliest memories is, I woke up at, you know, I was 3 years old. I was in, like, the first house I ever lived in my entire life. I woke up, went to the bathroom, and I remember being, like, super groggy. Then I, like, lifted up the lid on the toilet, and I started, you know, doing a 10-1, which is the industry term for, you know, urinating. And then my dad came in and he was like, "What the heck are you doing?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I looked and I realized that I had lifted up the lid of the laundry basket, not the toilet. And I had been urinating on the dirty clothes, which I guess it could be worse, it could be clean, but there's different, you know, day-to-day wear versus being hit with, you know, nitrogenous waste. There's a difference in dirtiness there. Like, that might be the point where you're like, I might just toss this. I might Marie Kondo this one and then just, you know, get a new shirt from Sears tomorrow. It's true. It happened. I'm not. What do you want me to say? You know, I was a kid. Feel like, you know, we should all be... Admittedly, there's, like, stories you cringe about, right? But I think when you're a teenager, that's when, like, the cringe stories start to come out, where you're like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed that this is, like, the person that I used to be. When you're a kid, you're just, you know, you're figuring it out. You know how you can mash Play-Doh into the newspaper funny section in order to save a comic that you found particularly entertaining? It's true, you can't. Silly putty on top of a Doonesbury tweet. It'll save that into perpetuity. At least for, you know, like a day. We'll make the comic entirely purple, but... Which is crazy, because Doonesbury for a while was entirely orange. I don't know anything about Doonesbury, okay? That was the comic that, like... When you saw your grandma reading that one from the newspaper, you were always like, okay, I get it, grandma. You know, you're very smart. Nothing in here. What about over here? This could be big. It could be nothing as well. But when you're a kid, you're like that, right? You're just like, you know, the kids are like sticky cognitively. They pick up the things that they hear, the things that they see. They also, you know, eat peanut butter with their hands and then, you know, put their hands in their hair. They're kind of like sticky on a literal level as well a lot of the time. You know, it's funny, like when I feed my daughter, she always like mashes, and you could be like, well, why not stop her? I wish you the best of luck in your noble pursuits, okay? Easier said than done. Sometimes, you know, she's got peanut butter toast, she's got some yogurt, she's got some blackberries, something like that, on a nice little baby charcuterie plate in front of her. She'll put her hand in the yogurt, and I'm like, I just don't even... I'm not like the cleanest individual on planet Earth, but having things on my hands is like, I don't know, it bothers me. At least like having oil or like, you know, like it's one of the reasons I don't eat, you know, fish and chips with my hands. The other reason is that culturally, at least in Ontario where I grew up, people eat them with a knife and a fork, okay? So I didn't come to this conclusion myself. I didn't invent it. It's something I inherited, right? An interface from the Java library, if you will. Well, you can't be that... You can be embarrassed, but only in, like, a lighthearted way, I think, about, you know, like, stories like this from your childhood. Once you're a teenager, you have some sincerity, and, you know, you have these emotions, and they're burning at, like, an intensity, like, they're at volume 11, like Spinal Tap. That's where you can be like, okay, I'm a little embarrassed. But I don't know, I feel like the older I get... we might suck that one up. We're trying to go to the Hush fight, huh? Dark Arch, wow, Dark Arch, low-key, Dark Arch, pretty good. I think we don't take Dark Arts, even though it's good, we lose Void. And then I'm like, no, we take Dark Arts and we lose Void. And we just take all the items we get instead, because Dark Arts is that good. This is our redemption tour. I just tried to hit Q to use Dark Arts. At least my brain's storing something in there. But the older I get, the more I'm like, you know, you're not even really like... I mean, you're responsible for your actions at a certain age in your life, don't get me wrong. But you can't, you know, when I hear something like, you know, the Zodiac killer got discovered... This is a joke that maybe I shouldn't make. But, you know, I'm like, hey, come on, man. He was in his 40s when he did those murders. He's 80 now. Get over it. Did you see, and I didn't follow this story. I'm joking, of course. I'm joking. Just joking about, like, the, you know, the most high-profile unsolved murder case in, like, California history. But, I apologize. It's a satire, if you will. Oh, so you can watch, what's the show? You can watch What We Do in the Shadows, where vampires are eating people, but I can't joke about, like, real okay, no, that makes sense, now that I think about it. Okay, thank you for enlightening me. But did you see that, so they think they discovered who the identity of the Zodiac killer. And then there was just that dude on Facebook who was posting photos of him after he died, because they were friends, and he was like, "Rip to a legend, the Zodiac killer." And then, like, his full name and you know, birth date and death date and stuff like that. What a world we live in, man. This man's just out here on social media being like, yeah, my best friend is the Zodiac killer. You jealous? And the thing that's, and I don't know if there is much humor to be gleaned from it, okay? But one of the things that would be humorous, if humor could be gleaned from it, is that in all the photos, the Zodiac killer, he doesn't look like he's friends with the guy who's taking the photos, you know? He looks like he's unhappy to be there. And I just can't imagine, like, if this is true, what was going through the Zodiac killer's head? Was he like this, hanging out with this guy is the punishment I get for having, you know, sinned earlier in my life? Or, I don't know, maybe he just has resting, you know, bee face, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I don't concern myself with it all that much. It's just, it's a strange world, man. You'll see some crazy stuff on Facebook. Well, we wouldn't have wanted to suck that up anyway. Anyway, long story short, it's a Friday. Happy Friday. TGIF, everybody. I apologize on Friday, which is yesterday for you if you're watching this the day it comes out. So many conditions involved. It felt like a Beware advantage on Survivor. Am I right? We don't really want the Nun's Habit, to be honest. Dark Arts replenishes itself fast enough that I don't think it's that relevant. So let me, like, I'm not gonna make an excuse, because it just, you know, once every 100 days or something like that, I forget to set the Isaac episode the night before, or I, you know, set it for the wrong time or the wrong day or something like that. It's just, it's baked into, like, you know, the human experience that we have a certain error rate, you know? Nobody's perfect. And we're good to go, right? We'll take this, we'll take a red heart, we're good to go. How did it happen? Well, I have a small backlog, for one. And then, the Twitch leak caused them to break the connection that they have with YouTube that allows you to easily export videos from Twitch to YouTube. So after my stream yesterday, I had to manually, like, scrape the videos from Twitch that I wanted to put on YouTube, download them, then re-upload them on YouTube, because they won't just fit through the pipe anymore for whatever reason. But I'm sure that's temporary. And then, I thank you. I had to upload Isaac episodes. I'm not complaining, by the way. It's not a Herculean task. But it's just, you know, I had that going on. I then cooked dinner. Then Kate was like, hey, let's watch a couple episodes of Love Island. And I was like, okay, let's do that. While we were doing that, I made the YouTube thumbnails for the day. And then I was like, one of the things I said to myself is, don't forget, you uploaded Isaac a little later. So normally during your day, you would have already done that, you piece. You would have already done that duty by now, but you have not done that duty yet. Do not forget. And then I forgot. But, can I tell you something? I apologize, by the way. I've become a little bit less pill-inclined in repentance, just because, well, I'll be honest, I think the game's gotten harder, and I've gotten worse. I think it's Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes. And we go through these ebbs and flows from time to time. I'm not trying to belabor the point, I'm just giving you my, analysis. Either way, dude, we made the right decision there. It's just one of those things, you know? You break your normal routine a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, did I brush my teeth before I got in my car? I must have, right? Because I always do, but I have no memory of doing it. Then you're like using your tongue to feel your teeth, and you're like, it feels a bit fuzzy, doesn't it? But sometimes it feels a bit fuzzy even when you do brush your teeth before you get in. It just, you know, might have had extra sweetener in your coffee that morning or something. So you spend the rest of your day, please, trying to see if you brushed your teeth, and then when you get home you brush them, and then all of a sudden your gums start to bleed, and you're like, I knew I brushed them. You know how it goes. I know how it goes. I will say though, well, hey, you can make fun of me for watching Too Hot to Handle, okay? Help me. But I was also playing Slay the Spire Ascension 20. Why not? As the Ironclad during the episode, and I won. So, now, I haven't played much... Oh, I haven't played any Slay the Spire on YouTube for a bit. Because once we got A20 done as the Watcher, I was like, now I can play, like, pressure off a little bit. But I've been still chunking away at the Switch. I did beat the Ironclad Ascension 0 through 20 over the course of the last month or so. I got 10 to 20 as the Silent left. I got 10 to 20 as the Defect left. I really look at Slay the Spire. It's like and stop me if you've heard this one 100 times before, but it's like a modern Sudoku puzzle or crossword puzzle. Use it. Why not? And then, escape. I know you're supposed to make Hush. I actually think we're still on pace for that, by the way. Yeah, it's like a modern, you could even describe it as like a jigsaw puzzle. I think, like, you know, it's something that, it keeps your brain sharp. It keeps you active, cognitively, while also doing something else. You know what? I mean, it just makes me that much more interested to also get the laser beam. I can't believe it worked. I support it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I could see myself, and, you know, I don't want to try to predict myself in the future that much, but I could see myself playing like Slay the Spire on and off until I'm like 85 years old. You know, what's gonna... And of course, you know, something different might come along, but... I can't imagine what would mean that it wouldn't. You know, it's not like extra graphics are gonna make a better deck builder than Slay the Spire. It's not like, you know, we're waiting on some kind of like industry revolution, like we need the blockchain to come out or something like that in order to revolutionize Slay the Spire. Well, I guess I'll just lose all my wisps doing that, but at least we took advantage of this trinket for the first time in Earth's history. Look at that. Now, like, I would, if you gave me, you know, a life or death decision and you were like, would you take the, you piece. Would you take the over or the under? I'd probably take the under, because I don't even know, like, you know, if we're going to have the same kind of phone architecture in 80 years. You know, or you know, probably my Nintendo Switch will not work. Nintendo products have historically had really good reliability, but, you know, the Switch Joy-Cons are maybe an exception to the rule there. Or a troubling sign of what's to come. Okay, we actually could get Guppy here, which with technology would be sick. But I just see it as like a modern, you know, crossword puzzle. You gotta think, too. You know, if crossword puzzles had more competition, I bet they wouldn't have made it into the modern day. And I love a crossword. I mean, you saw me do a bunch on Twitch or on YouTube this year if you're a particularly dedicated viewer. And it did pretty well, you know, like people were enjoying watching it. But you have to imagine that, like, if they had options back when crosswords were invented, which I'm going to assume must be after the advent of, you know, modern newspapers. I'm going to say, I bet it's early 19th century, or late 19th century, early 20th century. Am I willing to stake a claim on that? No, I'm willing to make a guess. Hold on, Birthright Apollyon? I should have read it. I don't know, let me check something. Crossword puzzle history. December 21st, 1913 was the date of the first crossword appearing in the Sunday newspaper, The New York World. But another crossword puzzle had also appeared September 14th, 1890. Can I just say, whatever one of those is right, it appears that I was correct in my assertion of when it was. And then what was okay? Birthright Apollyon. I know how to type. Currently unimplemented. Okay, that was a good use of our time and our money, but that's okay. No big deal. What are we on here? Dank Depths 1. Okay. Like, I feel like if League of Legends... The difference between, like, a fad and a pursuit that you can engage in for, like, your whole life is just when it came out. You know what I mean? Like, chess is a great game. I love it. You think chess, if it came out as a brand new game in 2021... would have the same kind of staying power that it had as a result of being invented in the 1500s? I don't think so. You know, I feel like if chess came out now, sure, like the barrier to entry is pretty high. You know, you got to learn what every single one of the pieces does and blah, blah, blah. But B, I feel like people would, you know, they were more easily entertained in the prior years because they didn't, or in history, because they didn't know, you know, what else was out there. They had less options. Thank you. Then again, I guess I won't speak about being easily entertained when I've watched passively 4 episodes of Too Hot to Handle over the past couple of days. So maybe I don't have a leg to stand on there. I'm just saying, it flies in the face, perhaps, of, and I don't think we need the money. It flies in the face of conventional wisdom, maybe, but I don't believe that the sports and the games, the pursuits, etc. that we have right now have risen to the top. I think they've just, you know, survived through tradition, if that makes sense. I know I've said it before about, like, actual sports. Like, I think you could definitely tweak the rules of, you know, football, basketball, hockey, etc., to make them what I would describe as better games. But, you know, people would be like, that's not what they want. What they want is to watch something that's familiar, and I can relate to that. Because that's kind of like my business model, I suppose. But I think the same is true for like, games as well. Like, you're gonna tell me that jigsaw puzzles are like those would really stick around if they were invented in the modern day? Cutting a picture up into a bunch of weird little shapes and then putting it back together? It just strikes me as one of those things that's like a little bit, you know, I think because maybe you find pleasure in organizing things, and then as a child you did jigsaw puzzles, they stuck around. It's the same, like I get a dopamine hit from like solving a verbal puzzle, you know, like a crossword puzzle, for example. So I understand it. I'm just saying, I think they benefited a little bit from the time that they came to exist. Don't step on me, buddy. I think, where are we at on time-wise? 21 minutes into the run. This is a fast run thus far. I'm really happy we took Dark Arts. It should make Hush easier. No, should. Like, it will make Hush a lot easier. We need to take, it doesn't matter what we take, but we're gonna, well, it does. Let me rephrase. We're not gated into taking something. Lusty Blood is really, really good. God, though, I just want to get out of the room. Can you give me a teleport card? Hanged Man. Soul of Isaac. I mean, you could Soul of Isaac these to look for something a little better. Or you could, I think, believe it or not. Oh, what the heck? I think you take the Soul of Isaac to use on a deal with the devil in the future to try to increase your chances of getting a 10 out of 10 item, which could be Guppy. And that's how you maximize your enjoyment here. Hero's Medallion. I don't see why we wouldn't. That's actually a very sizable tiers upgrade. I'm happy to do it. See, I'm not just, you know, trying to skip every room. Just boss rush itself adds a lot of risk. Admittedly, Lusty Blood would have been frickin' sick, but it is what it is. We're looking for one more Guppy item. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to lately. Is Fate? Well, I guess it would be nice if I could fly above you. I know that the tier list love you, 'cause you give the ability of fly. And if you teach me how to fly up above you. I gotta be honest, I think you pop this and then Soul of Isaac it, just so you don't get gated into seeing it too much in the future. And that's not the ultimate, you know, payout that we got out of it, but we did get a good payout regardless, and we didn't get stuck with Magic Skin. So Magic Skin can be great, by the way. And if you gotta remember, man, it's, what did Seneca the Younger say? You wouldn't give other people agency over your body to do harm to it as they saw please, and yet you so freely give control of your mind and its safekeeping to those that you don't respect who would do wrong to you. He's basically saying, you know, why you wouldn't, you know, stand up naked in the city center and be like, hey, haters, you know, there's a bunch of gravel over there, just why don't you whip it at me? So why instead do you actively, you know, seek out criticism from your worst enemies and stuff like that? You know, you're acting in a self-injurious way. That's kind of how I feel about when people call me a coward in Isaac. for not literally every single time. I can fly, by the way. Doing the most zany thing. We've done enough magic skin runs that you should know by now, or you ought to know by now, if you want to make it Billy Joel-esque, that I will not shy away from magic skin when the time is right. On this one, we've got a different priority set, okay? I love a tiers upgrade. None of these are worthy, unfortunately. That's alright, we'll head down to the next floor. Take a sip of the coffee. This floor, this is a big one. We want to defeat Hush. I don't think beating Hush is going to be difficult. Dark Arts is very nice there. I would love to scale this run just a little bit in the damage department. Like, it's not there yet, man. It's very survivable. Don't get me wrong. It's just going to take a long time. Thankfully, Dark Arts does help. But it's going to take a bit. So this will be a great time to beat the odds, get a deal with the devil, get a guppy item, for example. We already got 2 of them. We could even just get the guppy trinket, you know? There's a trinket that just, it does nothing except give you the effect of getting closer to the guppy transformation. I know what you're gonna say. It's called Guppy's Hairball. Ah, good one. Ah! It's not. I don't even know what it's called. Guppy's paw print or something like that. I don't know if we've ever used it to fulfill the guppy transformation. So this could be a landmark day. But for the time being, we're just chilling. Taking our time. Just moving on. As Boston said. You ever see a map of the roads in Boston? Look, there's a constant debate. You know what I'm talking about. Yankees, Red Sox, clam chowder versus pizza. Eli Manning versus Tom Brady, etc., etc. It's the classic Boston versus New York debate. So, New York's roads are laid out in a grid. They're also, I feel like avenues run like east-west and streets run north-south or something like that. And then they're numbered. So it's like 1st Avenue then goes to 2nd Avenue, which then goes to 3rd Avenue, which crosses with, you know, Houston Street, which, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not saying it's, you know, it's basically like the road network was designed for maximum motility, for ease of motility. Boston streets, on the other hand, I think it's, and this is what I've heard at least, is that it's kind of an inherited flaw of the roads being designed haphazardly back in, like, you know, the colonial days. Where you just built the road, like, however... We did not beat the odds. You built the road however you had to build it to get from point A to point B, and then all of a sudden, you know, 300 years later, you don't have a road network, you have, like, a spider web. But here's the thing that I'm going to say, because you know, you're like, okay, oh, NL taking another opportunity to crap on Boston. You mess with Spider-Man, you mess with us. Why not? In actuality, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into an opportunity to make a joke at the expense of both proud cities. The thing about Boston is the road network is asinine. Like, it was designed by a malevolent alien. That's true. However, the thing in New York with the grids is that I think it's created a false sense of security among New Yorkers. When I was there for Champions of Fire 2, no New Yorker that I met had the humility to ever check their GPS for how to get somewhere. They could check their GPS, and I'm talking about Rob, but, you know, there are other people there that embodied the same principle, and Rob knows, you know, I've said this in the past. It's not meant as a dig, really. It's meant as, like, you know, it's just different parts of different cities. You know, there's unique cultural elements. Like, what's the unique cultural element for living in Vancouver? No matter where you live on Earth, when you say, like, oh, I love sushi, we go like, oh, well, you haven't really had sushi until you know, oh, until you've had sushi in Vancouver. I haven't really had sushi. Oh, you live in Tokyo? Oh, the sushi is so expensive here. The thing about Vancouver is that the sushi is, like, it's good. You can get good sushi, cheap. If you want to go for Tokyo prices, you can get great sushi that's expensive. You know, that's part of it. That and being like, oh, I hate it here. And then whenever somebody else is like, yeah, I can imagine, you go, shut up, idiot. But I think that's true with just about every city on planet Earth. You're just jealous. Anyway, so in New York, you know, people, because the road network is laid out so intuitively, I think they take it as a slight on their intelligence if you suggest that they have to look up directions to get somewhere, just to be sure that you're going in the right direction, right? It's not, oh, I should have waited about, you know, half a second there. It's not because you're like, wow, you're so dumb, you don't know, like, 6 comes after 7. It's just like, hey, why don't we take 30 seconds to look up on the GPS how to get there so that we know for sure? They would rather spend, like, 2 minutes telling you in New York, you know, until you get to Alphabet City, the streets run north-south and the avenues run east-west and they go blah, 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 and then you take this to this and then... And 2 times over the course of my 3 days living there, we got lost with a New Yorker guide as a result of that bravado. So I don't harbor a grudge, but, you know, it did have a material impact. And then you're going to say, sounds like though they didn't know what they were talking about, but everybody else in New York, myself included, is immune to that unique civic blind spot. I don't think so. So what I will say is that maybe living in a city with such an intuitive metric system type road network actually creates a false sense of security. And if you allow your overconfidence bias to take control in some situations, can actually punish you a little bit. Whereas in Boston, I think the road network is just so screwy that maybe, you know, the average Bostonian is like, well, I don't know if this is true, by the way. But maybe the average Bostonian is like, are you kidding me? Of course we're going to use the GPS. Have you seen the road network in this city? It's crazy. It's all spirals. She's all 6s and 7s. So that sucked. But it's kind of the price you pay to fight delirium, is that it almost always sucks. Okay. Hush is easier than delirium too, so... we better be prepared for that. You know what? Magic Mush would be a nice... I guess I was going to say that we would have seen it. If there was something valuable in there, but I don't actually know if that's true with Guppy's head. Maybe yes, maybe no. Check yes or no. So we gotta... there's multiple ways that you can get out of a delirium situation that looks bad. One of them is dying. I've used that a few times. It works, but it loses you a little bit of, you know, respect and dopamine in the process. Another way, genuinely, is just to get, like, a good card. One good card or rune can carry you when you only need to survive for one fight. If you're weak, which I wouldn't necessarily say we are, but if you're weak and you got to get through a whole run, one card's not going to do it for you. If you're... why would you stand, like, right there? If you're weak, but you just got to get through one room, you know, an Algis or a Sun for full health if our HP goes up, or, you know, the Tainted Sun card for double damage or whatever. I mean, you definitely invest here. Spend an extra minute or two. You never know. There's a pretty good item pool. I don't know if it's if this draws from a special pool, but I've seen Tech X in here. You know, I've seen some top tier items. This is not one of them. Okay, just look. You gotta break it up a little. Just for sanity's sake. Let's go. Okay, what do we see? I mean, I'll pay for Robo Baby. I don't really want it, but I want to see what comes after it. There we go. And then, what did I tell ya? Tech 0. Now we're talking. Don't explode, please. Thank you. I'm assuming this will work for us, which is a dangerous assumption to be making. Now, I feel like, I just walked into a red poop. I feel like we should be leaving Spirit Hearts behind for now. It carries a risk, but it also carries a potential reward if we find ourselves in a position where, you know, we lost some red hearts that would have been Spirit Hearts if we had picked up the Spirit Hearts. You know, if you haven't been on the Delirium floor in a while, there's a whole method to the madness. Let's try these now. We're in a bit of a more desperate situation. You want to not fight Delirium early. The way you do that is there's certain parameters that make a Delirium fight more likely to exist in one position versus another. One of those parameters, and it's an interesting setup there too, is surrounding rooms, right? So like this doesn't have that much space around it. It's unlikely a huge like 4x4 boss room would be here. Sure. Leviathan is a nice get, at least, I think. Does it not give you a damage upgrade? I thought it did. But that room on the terminus there, it has nothing but wide open spaces by the Dixie Chicks, right? Room to make a big mistake. Similarly, this one could be Delirium. And if it is, you just, you know, kind of eat it. you just own the fact that you got bodied, more or less. I guess I shouldn't... Oh, no, it's Leviathan that gave us that HP. I can't be too upset about that, I guess. Where are these flies coming from? Am I stupid? Like, oh, from the mulligan, idiot. You might as well take D Infinity for a bit here, and that's D1, which is actually the right play. As much as I want to use the D6, the D1 is the right play here to create like an Infinity Stone of, let's call it an Infinity Spring, because Infinity Stone doesn't make any sense, of Spirit Hearts. This should not be the Delirium fight. I think you don't give just the pony here, which is nice for me. Because we would like to see something else. Dude, why not? Like, I know we get a tears down. But don't we get like a computer transformation for having almost every tech involved? Like, are you hearing all the sounds that we're making? Come on. Don't insult me. Don't lie to me, Walt. You know, I guess you could just shoot these until they die to euthanasia, but... I see a Boneheart as well. And I've heard tell that I see a little silhouette of a man. I do resent having to come all the way back here. That's like the one thing that I'll say is a bit of a negative. But, you know, at some point you gotta do right. Oh, it literally doesn't really matter, but at some point you gotta do right by your audience, you know? You gotta take your time. You gotta do things the way they're supposed to be done. That hurts. And to be real with you, we shouldn't be in too dangerous of a position, okay? Like, this Boneheart, we'll get it protected here, hopefully. We probably don't need full HP in order to win this run anymore, especially with, you know, like, static tears. We're gonna hopefully bring Dark Arts with us. Hey, let's, like, ruin the whole run, maybe? Oh, it literally just doesn't work, which is probably for the best. Never mind. I think it crashed, man. But why? I can't imagine why it would crash. It was running like a billion calculations per second. How could it crash though if the music's still going? You know what I mean? Binding of Isaac, repentance, not responding. Just give it a moment. just booting it back up here. It's probably gonna make me start from the floor. It had an update? It had to download something. Has there maybe did a repentance an update patch got pushed? Continue. Oh, that's the start of the run, man. Or the start of the floor. Oh, come on. Come on, man. Come on, Ben. How you gonna let Jake Paul do you like that, man? So what? I don't even remember. This doesn't seem like the same floor. The Void. Okay. I mean, it is the Void. Am I insane? This floor layout seems completely different. Well, you know what? That's actually better. Because I get to enjoy, like, the spice of life, which I've heard tell is variety. It sucks because, like, we did have a pathway to, like, pretty much guaranteed Delirium victory. But when you pick up, you know, Trisagion, you gotta acknowledge that you're taking your life into your own hands. Actually, you know what? This might be exactly the same floor. I'm gonna outscale you. That doesn't bother me. I think I just went in a different direction to start with. Yeah, this looks more familiar now. I think I just went in a different way. And then we go, like, up and loop around, I think. Yeah, this looks familiar. So this, coming up next, we gotta... I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? If this is the case, then isn't this the one that gives us the... like, the D Infinity? I think you gave me the D Infinity last time. We do still want static tiers. I mean, there was nothing we took there that we don't want to take this time, except for Trisagion. But we also might just wing it, because, like, you know, who wants to live forever? The theme song to Highlander, starring Christopher Lambert. We did... oh, you know what? We want the Leviathan transfer. What the heck, man? My bone heart. I feel weaker. Owns. Okay, the Infinity. Which I think, actually, we can use right now. Stop it. You know what? I'm gonna get crazy, man. Let's, like, D4 this run and just see what it looks like. This seems kind of good. We can use the D1 later. Am I crazy? This seems kind of amazing. Now, I know we still want technology no matter what. Please tell me it's not going to take the same amount of rolls. Please? Are these aren't seated, are they? I thought it did like a dynamic roll. Maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe I am crazy too. I'm going to soak up the sun, by the way. We don't really want that. There we go. And then this seems very familiar. Okay, I don't... That was definitely true. Last time as well. I don't know, like, to be honest with you, man, I might just wing it. We got golden bombs, we got 9 lives. If we die, we kind of die. I accept that as part of the cost of doing business. We'll leave the Spirit Heart here just so we do have D1 potential, at least temporarily. This might not even be Delirium over here, so just keep that in mind. Our killing power is actually really good. And we have shielded tiers. So I think that this is an acceptable parlay, if you will. Now, I don't know if we're gonna win. I do know our stats are really good, though. So you're Mama Gertie, but I cannot fly this time. It doesn't matter. The killing power is outrageous. What's worth more, a spirit heart or a random item? It's an interesting question. At this point, I would probably say a spirit heart. Dude, the damage is actually kind of nuts. This is Leviathan. Never mind. Because I reroll. Okay, yeah. Alright, fair. Better, closer, warmer. Now, if you're gonna not be a dummy, then what you do is you D1. You pick up all 3 of these. And then you go... I mean, we might as well have taken you. I would have thought we'd be conjoined by now, but... Then we go back and get Dark Arts, just in case. This is a just in case your Delirium sort of play. And I think this is, like, especially when you consider the damage bonus we're going to get out of this, I think this is highly winnable. And it all comes down to the fact that we got rid of Void, honestly. Like, Dark Arts, this is the Dark Arts celebration hour, or 45 minutes. And it was Delirium. Would you look at that? Okay, seems to be going highly well. Nice try. I do want to use Dark Arts. We're biding our time. I don't know why I used the rune version first, but it's funny because, like, I think this boss is supposed to be hard. They did just gain a bunch of HP out of nowhere, which I resent mightily. Turns out, you know, Shielded Tears kind of sick here. We do also have Holy Mantle. Or probably more likely, we have the Blanket. We do indeed have the Blanket. Well, I think this might kill you. Turns out, all those Spirit Hearts we got, we actually needed 0 of them. So I give big ups to Trisagian for illuminating for me. That, you know, there's more than one way to... Okay, we needed 1 of them. There's more than one way to make it through a run like this. Don't step on me, man. Alright, that was a fun run and a good run. I hope that you have enjoyed yourself as I have enjoyed myself. Thanks for watching. Click the like button if you enjoyed the episode. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!